Hello everyone, it's Bernina Jeff at High Fashion Sewing Machines and Quilt Shop. I am not an employee of Bernina of America. I have a dealership in Western Colorado. I am going to do a Bernina Jeff how-to video. It's been a long time since I've done a how-to video. The last week or two I've gotten 2 or 3 phone calls with distressed, I call them damsels in distress. They call me up going, I keep getting a message on my screen that the bobbin is out, but it's not, and I'm going to demonstrate how that can happen. What the machine's trying to do is trying to see the silver little mirrors spin down in the bobbin case. And there's a few reasons why it's not picking up those mirror sensors and causing an error. So first thing that happens is you leave this door open, or it's open or not totally closed. And when you sew, it takes a certain number of stitches, and then it will give you this bobbin is empty. And what you'll do is you look down here, oh, this thing was open. But what most people will do is they'll take this out, they'll see there's plenty of bobbin. You can see those guys spinning there. Let's look real close. See those little mirrors spin when I pull the thread? If there's a piece of dust bunny or something in there, it can't see through there. The other thing you need to do is take a small, I sell these little blue tips. They're $1 a pack for 10 of them. And you go into every one of these little holes here and you clean up all these little sensors. One's a light, one's a sensor. And you do that, put it back together, and then we're going to sew again and see if that fixes our problem. So we have to get rid of that. So it's sewed about 2.5 inches. Let's see how it does now. There we go. That fixed the problem. Now, what happens if you do all that and you still get the error message? There's a quick fix, and it's okay to sew with this monitor turned off. You could sew with it for years with the monitor turned off. It's not going to affect your machine. It's basically down there for embroidery purposes. So when you're embroidering with a 7 series or 8 series or 9 series, it will let you know when your bobbin's out and you don't embroider for hours and with nothing going on. So I'm going to show you the quick fix. So we're going to go up here to the settings. That's the little sprockets or gears. And then depending upon your model, sometimes you have to go to home first and then to settings. But what you want to look for is this eyeball, this bright eye eyeball. Touch it, and you have an eyeball for the top thread and you have an eyeball for the bobbin thread. What we're going to do is we're going to slide that over and see the eyeballs closed. It's not going to pick up or look for that bobbin spinning. So now we can go ahead, we'll even open that door and see if that fixes our monitor. So now it's not looking for that thread. It'll sew all day, even without a bobbin. Sometimes you want to do that. Now, I want to do some preventative maintenance for you too. So on these bobbins, I like to hold it on there, press that and let it drop to my hand. Treat them like a rare coin. Hold them on the edge, because these mirrors, actually these mirrors can get hand lotion on them, they can get oil on them, they can actually scratch off. So if you're continuously having that problem, put a new bobbin in and make sure every mirror is nice and clear. And you can take a microfiber little towel like you do your eyeglasses, and you can clean those off and try it again. The other thing that happens is this little monitor, I've seen this come in like this, and when you kind of close it up, sometimes it'll close up, but it won't be lined up. And what you need to do is get really tight in there. There's a little hook on one side, and then there's a bar across, and you get this other hook in there. Then you use, I like to use a little tweezers. You need to kind of pry this little edge over here, just enough to where that pin goes in. And this needs to wiggle a little teeny bit, and that helps line it up. So that little box needs to be plugged in and in the right place. The door has to be lined up. If you look at this bobbin door and it's all askew, maybe it was just serviced and the tech didn't put it together exactly right, you need to make sure that that's nice and straight. That's what's going to cause your bobbin problems. Now, occasionally on the bobbin case, you'll get some lint built up underneath this little, I call it a leaf spring. So it's a spring, that's your tension spring on the bobbin. And I have a staff, she says we're going to call it a floss. We're going to floss that out. So we're just going to take thread. We're not going to put the bobbin in. We're going to put it underneath. And we're going to floss that all the way back and then floss it all the way this way. Get it back under. And watch, it'll pull out on the front, and you'd be amazed sometimes how much dust and lint bunnies will come out of that. If that lint builds up underneath there, you'll get a really poor stitch quality. The bobbin tension will not be tight enough, and you'll get the bobbin coming up to the top of your project. So that will kind of help. The other thing I do is don't use a pin or something thick, but you can use the edge of a business card. Take a look at where the screw is, kind of tuck that business card corner in at the screw and slide it forward, and sometimes that will pull out any collection of lint in there. But do that very gently, and don't do anything thicker than a business card because you could damage that spring. So hopefully that'll help when you're having errors on your bobbin, and it's okay to leave the bobbin monitor turned off. It's not going to hurt the machine. When you're sewing regular, you know when the bobbin's out. I mean, if you're embroidering, it's a very nice feature to have. So next time it goes in for service, and I recommend service every year to 18 months on these, the machine will count up to 3 million stitches, and I'll tell you it needs service. So this has been Bernina Jeff. You can check out my Shopify account, which reminds me, these bobbins are about $5 a piece. You don't want to wear out those mirrors by having them rubbing against each other. These bobbin holders, they hold 25 bobbins. They run, I'm not going to say a price because it could change on my website. So you can purchase these at my Shopify account. That's bernina-jeff.myshopify.com. They come empty, or they come pre-filled with empty bobbins of 25. You can buy them all filled up with empty bobbins. And they just clip like that, and you've got nice protected bobbins. So check that out. You can also call the shop if you don't want to go to my Shopify. That's 970-256-1293. And I actually answer every single one of my emails at jpvlefty@aol.com. Old school AOL, and I'm left-handed, so that's why it's Jpvlefty. Thank you very much.